Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now. It's a weekly forecast program with astrology and a guided meditation activation to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and Susie Mazzoli, Master Healer. We invite you to find out more about our individual work, Susie Mazzoli, susiemazzoli.com, or insightoasis.com for astrology. We look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends. Here we go.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Astrology Insight Now with Pamela Cuccinell and Susie Mazzoli. We are here every week, Pam providing our excellent forecast with very practical information for the days ahead, and then I pop in at the end for our meditation. Please contact us if you need some help privately, personally. We are both available. Pam, of course, for her excellent private astrology readings, and believe me, they come with a great deal of spiritual guidance and really important practical information. I've known Pam for several decades now and have been following her guidance. And then I am a professional homeopath and holistic therapist. So physical, mental, emotional, spiritual issues and needs, please book a session. You'll find all of our information on our website. Okay, Pam, what is up for us? We made it through the eclipse, and here in New York, we also made it through a little earthquake. What's coming up for us this week?
Well, no eclipses that I'm sure of. I can't say anything about earthquakes, but I will say this. On Monday, the 15th of April, and the times I gave are Eastern time, so just keep that in mind based on what I'm saying. You might have to adjust depending on where you live. The week opens up with some very strong energy to make things happen. So we're still riding on that new moon because the solar eclipse, of course, was a new moon in the sign of Aries. So it kicks off the momentum of the zodiacal wheel, coming off the spring equinox, then we had the solar eclipse, and now we're into the waxing moon cycle, and we have a week of being able to move forward. Not that we can't do that when the cycle is waning, but we have more support, especially in the first 3 days of this week. You want to keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde, and that's in the sign of Aries. So there may be a lot of fast, oh, yeah, sure, I can do that, or see you whenever. And we haven't really done the follow through of where we're meeting or how we're making that happen. So it's really important to double check things. Just keep that in mind as we go throughout this week. Back up if you're a writer, if you're doing anything on your computer, make sure you back up your files. Es muy importante. Very, very important at this. So Monday the 15th, the moon is in the sign of Cancer as the day opens. And the first, people who are up very early in the morning, pre-dawn, may be having a little chafe. So I'm speaking Eastern time, so obviously if you're in another place, you're already up. It's already your morning. That does start to shift after about 3:30 a.m. And then we get into really juicy creative energy. Some of us may wake up with a dream that seems very important or a sense of inspiration, still riding on that being jazzed or excited energy that came about through the eclipse. Remember, eclipses, they don't, yes, the drama happens on that day, and usually there's a little indication or sign, but the unfolding happens over time. So whatever energetically is going on for you, especially last week, or what you've been feeling like you want to get into, anything creative or innovative, this can be a day where you feel very, very focused on inviting that in, even if you don't really know what it is. There's a real, well, the word that comes to me is invitation to open your heart, your mind, your sense of expectation to what can come in. So with the moon in Cancer, we like to ideally focus on where we're at, gaze at some water, the flowers, the a baby's smile, your sense of place in your home, the mug that you like to drink your hot beverage out of. There's this sense of what feels like home to me, what feels comfortable to me. And as we sink into that, it provides a, a safety net, almost womb like. Think about a baby that sort of spreads around a little in the womb, especially early on before it gets very constrictive in there, and the baby just thinks, I got to get more and I got to get out of here. But at first, it's sort of stretching and moving in this very safe sea that feels so tranquil and cocoon like, ideally. I know that isn't the truth for all babies, but ideally. So we're in this space of wanting to stretch and explore and sample. With that safety net or way of exploring, it allows us to let in certain things that feel new, fresh, or what if? And this is really heightened around dawn of this particular morning. So that's why I say dreams, expectation, waking up with a suddenly something pops into your head, a person you haven't thought about in a long time, an ambition or dream that you've shelved, it pops in. And so it's asking for some attention. You decide how much you want to give to it. Maybe it's just scribbling in your morning pages or diary or on a post it, uh, I want to look at, or whatever the name or the idea is, so that you can get back to it when you have time. As we get towards the evening, there's a really juicy moment of being able to use the time really well for reviewing, editing, ongoing projects, or you might connect with someone who you put that post-it down to, yeah, let's reach out and call so and see how they're doing or what's up or why they popped into my head. The moon goes void, of course, at 7:22 p.m. And that kind of juicy, organizing, editing, continuing on energy, even with the void moon, since it's in the sign of Cancer, it just sort of floats along. And when we get into the sign of Leo, which occurs at 10:24 p.m., now some of us may feel more energized, like get that second, third, fourth wind, especially air fire signs. You decide if you're going to ride with this for a while in the evening. You know what your clock is, but it probably is best to wind down and recharge, because as we get into the wee hours of the next day, there's a lot of energy around that can feel a bit confrontational or a bit chafing. And some of us will be working this out in the dreamscape, where we may or may not remember, but we have encounters or archetypal confrontations or imagery that basically is asking us to take a challenge. Now, remember, the moon in Leo, Leo is the sign of the lion, so it symbolizes courage. It's a lot about where we take heart. Leo can be, yes, it's a fire sign, it's fixed, and we may not think about this because we think of water signs as having compassion. But Leo actually can be the champion for a cause. So yes, it's not necessarily feeling where that person is at or the situation, but it's that desire, that fire to do something about it, whatever it is. So that's getting called up in the early hours of the 16th of that morning. And then as we get into the full day, it's very on for moving through and making things happen and putting together a framework for how I'm going to achieve a certain goal. So it doesn't have to be a goal for a cause. It may be a goal about a creative project or one's own vision or something they're putting out there as a goal or intention or achievement that they're actually aiming for to construct and carry off. Once again, the most important thing to kind of keep in mind is that Mercury retrograde, because otherwise this is a really clear sailing day for aiming forward and making things happen. Very strong day on the 16th. And this carries into the 17th as well. The thing about the 17th to keep in mind is that we encounter more, they can feel like blocks or detours or things that occur that may even derail or kind of bring attention to something that wasn't really where we had intended to go. The most important thing as you begin your day on Wednesday is to be clear on what is it I am accomplishing today. What is the thing or the finish line or the momentum that I'm striving for? And then as these segues or derailments or shiny objects come across our landscape, we can decide, do I have time for this? Do I have time to question the detour? Sometimes it's much quicker to just accept, okay, I've got to go here before I can get there, than to cause yourself a lot of strife, grief, or confusion because the plan didn't go as intended. Well, if the plan doesn't go as intended, the most important thing is to keep your eye on what it is you want to accomplish by the end of the day, or in order to keep the momentum going. That's the most important thing. The other things, the wrinkles that may come up, or the distractions, or the surprises, or the out of the blue thing, even if you have to shelve or put down something you're working on, say to yourself, I can get back to this. And if you cannot, for some reason, the ship is sailing, then just know somehow or another, you're still going to find resolution, completion, accomplishment for whatever the intention had been. Now, if there's nothing absolute that you intend to do on this day, no problem. It's going to go as it goes. But if something is really important to get off the ground or make happen, just know somehow it will come to where it has to come, even if you're not the person who carries it across the finish line. As of 5:20 p.m. on this day, on Wednesday, we're in really good juice for just good results, making things happen, building rapport. And this continues into the very early morning on Thursday. Any important emails or things you want to get out, texts, etc., calls, you want to do in the early morning. Once we get to 8:02 a.m. Eastern Time, the moon goes void, of course. And so for a couple of hours, there can be throwing ideas around, clearing off your desk. But then the moon enters Virgo at 10:10 a.m. And what Virgo wants when it's in the moon sign is to work on the task at hand. So ideally, you have things that you plan to do this day. Not all over the roadmap, because again, Mercury retrograde, it may be hard to make all those appointments or follow through with exactly what you intended, but to stay on the task, whatever it may be. The thing that matters or to keep in mind on Thursday, Friday, into Saturday, actually, is that there are things behind the scenes or out in the ether that may come up that put us in a place of, oh, okay, that's not how I thought this was going to go. So the example, I think, is, let's say Thursday and Friday are days when, let's say you're planting seeds, you're gardening. And this is a metaphor, okay? Or some of us may actually be doing this. So you're planting seeds, you're gardening, and you get a lot accomplished on Thursday into Friday. A lot gets done. What occurs, especially on Friday, is that as the day goes on later in the day, we may realize that a partner or something that we had depended on as a support system hasn't shown up or is not carrying their piece. So, again, back to my example, you expected the gardener to show up at 4 o'clock to help trim some tree boughs that are going to be problematic where you're planting your seeds, and the gardener doesn't show up. And not only does he not show up, but you realize he's not really the right person for the job. So the plus is that then you can find the right person. The minus is you may lose time. Or let's say the gardener does show up and doesn't do it the way you wanted and really wasn't the support system you depended on. So again, metaphors. The important thing is to move on from whatever seemed to not be available to you and leave yourself open to what can come in. There's a Mars-Uranus picture in the sky in the early evening that suggests we can get a sudden inspiration or someone drives up, your cousin from Kentucky just suddenly shows up in town and says, hey, oh, I'd love to help you with that. So to leave space for the potential of something magical or different can occur. And once that happens, we shift into the realm of, okay, let's keep ourselves open for whatever may come in that's not really what I had planned for. And for some of us, this feels incredibly uncomfortable because we can feel out of control. We don't know how it's going to end. We don't know how it's going to get resolved. And for many people, that's not their happy place. If that's the case, then by all means use that moon in Virgo to do things that allow you to feel grounded and in a space that feels healing. Walk in the dirt with bare feet, take a bath, do yoga stretches, listen to music that makes you want to dance or chill, whatever it is that calms and grounds you. That's really important on this evening. And on Saturday, again, a beautiful kind of morning of expectation and saying, hey, all this is going to unfold as I'd like. The thing to keep in mind is in the morning, some people may be very short tempered. You jump in the car and realize you're out of gas. Things just don't quite go as the momentum wants it to go. And this can, once again, throw some of us in a state of confusion or even panic, feeling victimized. If perchance any of those feelings come up for you, provide an antidote. Do some calming things. Baby yourself. Allow yourself the space to remember this will change. Change is a constant, like it or not. So the moon goes void, of course, at 8:20 p.m. And then it enters the sign of Libra at 11:08 p.m. Now, something happens this evening that astrologers have had their eyes on, and that's the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus. So, because it's happening when the moon is void, of course, this is adding a piece of what can we expect? Now, Jupiter expands whatever it's near. That's what it does. So we consider it the great benefic, and it brings in auspicious things, good fortune, etc. That's why state of mind, intention is so very important. Uranus brings in surprise and change. So with Jupiter Uranus, we can anticipate big surprise and big change. Is it going to happen for all of us personally? Probably not. Is it going to be something that may be quite obvious in news cycles, etc.? Most likely. Will it be a phenomena that occurs in the earth? That's a very strong possibility because the sign is Taurus. So I'm not forecasting an earthquake, but something can occur that brings a lot of attention to what's going on with Gaia. So it's a very important day to use that Virgo moon to think of healing thoughts, intention, and what it is you'd like to unfold. Once the moon enters Libra at 11:08 p.m., I would recommend, early to bed, as early to rise as you'd like the next day. And the next day, on the Sunday, the 21st, is a good day to relax, not do much, enjoy something cultural, and avoid getting into power struggles, especially ones that may be occurring within. If you feel that within, then find ways to let the steam out. That is the ideal. And now I turn it over to Susie.
Thank you so much, Pam. And is there a particular time that you were expecting something on the day before, on the 20th?
That I'm expecting something? Well, the exact conjunction is 10:27 p.m.
10:27 p.m.
Eastern time. Whether I'm expecting anything, honestly, I mean, the thing that I would look for is I would want to look for people who know their horoscope, what's going on at that point in time in my personal horoscope. Is it touching? Is it triggering a planet, an angle in my personal horoscope? or what area of life is it transiting? Because those are the things that kind of bring attention to the fact of, okay, this is going on. If nothing is really hitting that, then I just kind of look at the news cycle and see, what's going on? Because it most likely is not going to be directly affecting me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically anyone who has about 21 degrees of, well, anything really, but especially fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. Then yeah, you're probably going to want to be aware of what's going on. For me personally, it's affecting my Mars. Mars is what we desire, how we take action, anger, libido. So I will be especially careful not to get into an argument with my husband at that point in time. Or anybody. But
Okay.
yeah, so.
Good time to be on a silent retreat, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Let me look for one of those.
Okay. Thank you so much. So let's get into our meditation, where we can always find a silent retreat as long as there is you and what we call in Buddhism your mind stream. Yeah, you can create that anywhere. So let's take 10 minutes. Allow yourself to come into a place of quiet, of stillness. And I like to bring in the words of acceptance when I come into a place of meditation. I accept everything right now as it is. It is what it is what one of my brilliant Buddhist teachers used to say all the time. It is what it is. And just allow ourselves to just accept what I am, where I am, what's happening, what's happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future. Just for a few moments, acceptance. It doesn't mean we have to do anything right now. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to stand up for our rights. We don't have to do anything right now, just for these few minutes of contemplation, of meditation, of stillness. It's not a place that we can often get to, that place of acceptance, because we're always so busy in our mind, so busy in our actions. And we feel that we have to be so busy to stay alive, to keep others alive, to keep others looked after, fed, housed, clothed, whatever. We are always so busy keeping this biological body going. What happens when we can just step back a little bit from all of those burning needs, from all of those demanding needs? What happens when we can step back a little bit also from our own burning desires, our passion to do something or to be somewhere or to create something? What happens when we can just pull in a little bit back to a place for a few minutes, even just a few moments a day, where we are not sitting on the hot plate, when we are not being overwhelmed, when we're not even being motivated, but just being in this quiet place of stillness, just for a few moments. Nothing to do, nothing to be, not feeling the pressure, not feeling that nagging ego demanding us to have this or be that, or to be concerned with how others see us or how others want us to be. Allowing that ego just to go to sleep for a little bit. Just chill out and be still for a little while. We can gently detach from our lives, gently detach from the people around us, gently detach from the world around us, our responsibilities, our obligations, everything. Just floating out there in our own space, with our own mind, with what we call our soul or our spirit, with our consciousness, our awareness, free as well from our body that might be in pain, that might not be comfortable. Simply floating in our own bubble, in our own mind stream. And even if some of those thoughts come up that might frustrate us or annoy us or nag at us or demand our attention, we just let them pass by. We can think of them like a noisy truck on a street. As it comes closer, we can hear it. It becomes very close. We really hear it. And we allow it just to go by. So we recognize the thought. We don't deny it. We know it's there. We know it's noisy. We know its conditions. But we just allow it just to pass by. Like a truck going off in another direction. We don't have to unload it. We don't have to engage. And we train the mind. We train our mind to be in command. It's not being pulled in any direction by ourself or anything or anyone. And we are training our mind to be stable, to be calm, to be strong, and at the same time to be completely aware, completely open, boundless, boundless mind. There is nothing tethering our mind to any reality, to any fiction, to any facts, to any concepts, even to our own life, to people, to places. No tethers in any direction to anything. Boundless and open, liberated mind. And we stay in this place, in this frequency. We hold as long as we can our mind stream in this place of freedom. And ever so gently, staying in this place, we integrate back into this world as we perceive it around us, gently opening our eyes and taking a few deeper breaths, but still holding this expansion, this boundless state. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Pam, and we wish you all a wonderful week ahead. And as always, love now.
You have been listening to Susie Mazzoli and Pamela Cuccinell of Insight Now. If you've enjoyed this program, consider a donation. A link for that at astrologyinsightnow.com. We invite you to join us again for next week's podcast. Please share with others who can benefit from insight, and have a stellar week.